This is week 10 of the Sewing Bee, and welcome to Jillily Studio. I'm Jill Finley, and we're working on the hydrangea blocks today. That's what I've named these little blue flowers. They're really a pinwheel block with some corner triangles on, but we'll just call them hydrangeas for the flower theme. Okay, hydrangeas are on page 9 of your pattern, and it's got the heading up here that tells us that we need to make 18 of the blocks. 10 of them will be in the darker blue, okay? And 8 of them will be in the light blue. You've already cut these pieces out and set them aside at the beginning of our cutting. And so we've got 20 squares of this dark blue floral and 16 squares of lighter blue little heart fabric. And then we also need some white squares. You need the 2.5 inch squares. So you need 36 of those. And then you need 72 1 3/8 by 1 3/8. So we're ready to go. I'm going to make this darker block today, and we're going to start by putting a blue square with a white square, right sides together, and then we're making a half square triangle. Now once again, to make a half square triangle, you can refer back to page 3. If you've forgotten, we did some last week, but if you've forgotten, they're on page 3, half square triangles, and that's the one where you draw the line and sew on both sides of the line. So let's go do that. Now I'm ready to cut this apart right on this drawn line. I'm just going to eyeball it because it's just the seam allowance. It doesn't have to be perfect. All right, now I open this up and press the seam towards the darker fabric. And if you're doing all 18 of these at once, I would just chain them through and then trim them all at the same time and then press them all at the same time. But I'm just doing one now to show you. Okay, so these need to be trimmed, and they need to be 2 by 2. So I've got my little trimming ruler. This is a trimming ruler is nice because it's numbered from 1 to 6 this way and also this way. So you can start in the corner and have this line, diagonal line right on your half square triangle, and make sure you've got all of the block within the 2 inches. Oh, and I was going to show you how to trim 2 at once, and I forgot to show you that. So let me do one more and I'll show you that because that's really nice. Trim this guy. Okay. All right, let me do one more and I'll show you how to trim 2 at once. Okay, I have 2 more blocks, half square triangles that I've made using the lighter blue, and I'm going to show you how to trim 2 at once. And I just place 2 together on top of each other, right sides together, and then just nest those seams nice and tight. You can check it by looking right here and make sure that those push nice and tight together. You can feel it, and then put your ruler on there. Give yourself 2 inches. Whoops, that's what we're trimming to. And I trim one side and the adjacent side. And then I just use my finger to turn it. You can also use a rotating board, a cutting board, which is nice. And then do the 3rd side and the 4th side. And now you have 2 perfectly trimmed half square triangles. Now I have 4 of my little half square triangles all trimmed up, ready to be a block. And so I'm going to put those together like this and like this. Okay, so that I have my 2 pinwheels all coming together in the middle. That one's twirling that way, and you can turn the whole thing around and twirl it this way. So just be consistent is what I'm trying to say. So I'm choosing to do mine this way. So I'm going to sew, first of all, sew 2 together and then put those together. So I will join these 2 together, and you just want to make sure those are nice and tightly joined right there at the seam, and stitch right down the side. Same with these. Okay, so now I have all of my double units where 2 half square triangles are together should look the same. So they do. So I've got the blue on the upper left on both of these to start. And if I was doing 18 of them, all of them would look like this. Then you take 2 pair and put them together rotated so that you meet in the middle. First of all, I'm going to press, and I'll just finger press this that way, and this one this way, and then those can join together right there. So I'll place this on top. Okay, now my block is perfect with these seams meeting all in the middle. I'm ready to press this, and I want to split this seam because instead of folding my seam all one direction, I'm going to follow what I've already got happening with this seams between the blocks. This one's going that way, this one's going that way, so they're going in a counterclockwise motion. So I want this seam to go this way, and this one on this side to go the opposite way. So I slide my fingers in there and just twist. Twist, and then I'll take that to the ironing board. All right, now I've got the seam here, this seam here, this seam here, all going in a counterclockwise direction, which makes it nice and flat. You can see that the pattern of the pinwheel is echoed in the back on this little seam allowance with the tiny pinwheel there. So we have our block done, and you're going to go ahead and make 18 blocks with the pinwheel part done, and then we'll have to take and add a corner triangle on each corner of each pinwheel. So we're going to go to the machine and sew on one, then we'll sew on the opposite one, and then we'll sew on the others, and one on each corner of this pinwheel block. Now I'm ready to trim these. I'm going to trim off the little extra fabric so that I have a 1/4 inch seam allowance on each of these corners. And like I told you before, I like to eyeball it. But now I'm just going to press those open. We're almost done with our little block. And you're going to do this on all 18 blocks, the dark blue and the light blue. Press that open and press that one open. All right, so there's my little pinwheel block. Okay, so now you are done. When you've added those corner triangles on to your pinwheel blocks, you're going to make 10 of the darker fabric and 8 that uses the lighter fabric to finish your pinwheels. And that's all for today. Those are our hydrangea blocks. And next week we'll get to put the whole garden block together. So see you next time. Bye-bye.